If you listen to the media these days, you might think that artificial intelligence is going to be the answer to everything, right? You know and I know that that's not true, of course. But how can you best navigate the balance between using AI on one side and fostering the critical thinking skills necessary to manage a thriving workplace? Want some ideas? Watch this short video. I'm Bob Windover. It seems so easy. Need an answer? Well, type a question into your favorite AI bot and you'll be offered 17 possible solutions along with a recommendation as to which one is best. And all of this, of course, within 5 to 10 seconds. Who needs to think anymore? Of course, it's not that easy for one simple reason. You still have to make a decision, act on it, and live with the consequences. We now seem to be debating the role of AI in our lives. On the same day recently, I came across two separate articles. The title of the first was, "Say Hello to Your New Colleague, the AI Agent." Now, the author began by saying, today's CEOs are the final generation of executives leading exclusively human workforces. He said, going forward, we'll need to learn how to manage human workers and digital labor to work together to deliver efficiency and productivity. He continued, integrating AI agents into daily operations will become a leadership skill that separates companies that thrive from those that fall behind. Now, the second article was a bit different. It was titled, "How I Realized AI Was Making Me Stupid and What I Do Now." You can imagine the author's point of view in that case. Both of these articles were written by respectable souls. The first by a CEO of a Fortune 500 firm and the second by a Wall Street Journal reporter. Now, like many people, I have found that using artificial intelligence to generate ideas and rough texts saves time and, helps me organize my thoughts and sometimes helps me to make better informed decisions. But it is just one more tool in my arsenal for getting things done. Then again, I've been making decisions for years without the benefit of this new technology. You probably have done the same. But what about those entering the workforce without the benefit of the School of Hard Knocks? Well, that's just one of the challenges bedeviling employers these days, like you and me. Numerous recent surveys have indicated that as much as 45% of employers are hesitant to hire those in their early 20s, in part because of their deficit in critical thinking skills. Of course, those in Generation Z, who are probably watching this right now, will protest that I'm picking on them. And I'll grant that generalizations can be misleading. On the other hand, when thousands of employers complain about this issue, you know it must have some sort of substance. Besides, if you have that perception, you will be biased against those applicants from the get-go. Now, is that fair? No, but you still need competent people on your team who will act without close-in supervision all the time. And this is where artificial intelligence becomes a double-edged sword. On one hand, it might be just easier to use AI to replace a good portion of the daily discernment and decision-making in the workplace. It might even eliminate the need for some of these recent graduates and others. But on the other hand, AI can only provide information and possible solutions. And those answers are dependent, of course, on how well the query is crafted in the first place. So once you have those answers, however, you still have to make a decision and live with the consequences we talked about. And that's something many young people seem to feel a little bit uncomfortable about doing. If you don't believe me, I can show you reams of evidence along that line. Bottom line, artificial intelligence is only a tool. But in a desire for a quick and easy answer, many are elevating it to something that it is not. Now, in addition, we're already seeing evidence that its use creates an unrealistic dependence that foils individuals' skills and confidence in their own critical thinking. Now, I would argue that this will be one of the biggest dilemmas facing employers going forward. So, how can you, as an employer, balance the use of artificial intelligence with the need to maintain a think-on-your-feet type of culture? Well, here are 5 elements. First, hire for critical thinking. Want a quick tutorial on how to do so? Well, check out the video I posted on this very thing by clicking on the link in the description below. Second, train for critical thinking. Going forward, training will require a balance of how to use AI to source possible answers and solutions, along with instruction on how to make decisions without the use of this technology. The big key here is the ability to discern the actual question or problem. If employees cannot do that, they will not be able to craft effective prompts for use in AI. And neither will they be able to deal with the other situations when using AI is just simply not an appropriate tool. What I see many organizations doing is training newcomers on the maybe 10 to 20 scenarios that cover the majority of typical situations they will face. Then they concentrate on the challenges that require more nuance. Now, the more times employees are able to think on their feet, the fewer times they will escalate the problem to a supervisor. And this not only improves performance, it increases the confidence of those in these positions. And this in turn improves productivity and, of course, retention. Third, coach for critical thinking. I have long been a fan of an education technique called the think aloud, where rather than simply answering a student's question, the teacher says, I tell you what, let's think about this through together, out loud. Now, this is a great collaborative exercise that compels the student to think independently, but with some support. I've introduced this technique to countless managers because it works the same way in the workplace as it does in the classroom. And you can adapt this technique when working with AI. After all, learning how to craft an effective prompt is a skill. Working collaboratively, both the employee and the supervisor will learn something and hone their skills together. And this will also help those in the emerging generation to understand that even with digital technology, you can't succeed without being able to think critically. Fourth, evaluate for critical thinking. As the old saying goes, what gets rewarded, or in this case evaluated, gets done. But so much of evaluation is based on productivity. Why not add the elements of creativity and critical thinking skills to this equation? Who's the better performer? The person who meets expectations but is forever seeking the supervisor's assistance or permission? Or the person who meets the expectation by thinking and acting independently? Artificial intelligence can be leveraged to enhance thinking, but we still need to judge people on their ability to think on their feet. And fifth, celebrate critical thinking. It's so easy to overlook the good work that employees do in the pressures of today's demanding workplace. As a result, some of the best performers begin to feel kind of taken for granted or overlooked. And we all know what that can lead to over time. Those who develop and leverage skills in creative thinking and acting independently should be celebrated for taking initiative, whether they use AI or come up with a solution on their own. Celebrating these actions will also inspire those around them to hone their critical thinking skills and creativity. By the way, make these celebrations frequent. Don't bunch them all together for a once-a-year type of celebration. Spending maybe 3 minutes in a meeting each week or each month describing the problem or the project and how it was handled and how this person improved the outcome is enough to inspire those around and of course, reward them for doing so. Perhaps in the future, we'll end up being the sloth-like souls portrayed in the somewhat dystopian fantasy Wall-E of several years ago due to artificial intelligence. But I, for one, will work to maintain my sense of creativity and curiosity and resourcefulness. I suspect you will too. But if that is to be, we will need to continue hiring and coaching and evaluating for critical thinking in the workplace and everywhere else, regardless of the role of artificial intelligence. What do you do to encourage creativity and curiosity and resourcefulness in your workplace? Put your ideas in the comments below. And if you know of an event where discussing this challenge would be a good fit, shoot me an email at bobw@commonsenseenterprises.net.